With Module 23, we got a Zen Market exclusive new artifact set. The Dragonbone symbol, the folds, and the artifact here, the Dragonbone Wand. You guys have been requesting that I check this out and see how this artifact can perform and is it worth using as a primary. Well, when testing it out, it's actually pretty broken, whether in a good way or a bad way. We shall see. There'll be timestamps on the play bar below, so feel free to skip to any part you're most interested in. When looking at the tooltip of the artifact itself, you can see that it will deal a considerable amount of damage, 59,000 force damage, and stun enemies for 3 seconds. This supposedly then being an area of effect, but we'll check that out in a bit. An enemy's hit will take 20% more damage from you for just 6 seconds. There's only one other artifact that I know of that can give that much of a damage boost, at least reliably. You'll also gain a buff to your crit strike for 15 seconds. So initial impressions make it seem that this artifact definitely could be a very good contender for most any artifact out there. However, we have the Soulsight Crystal, which can actually give you up to 25% more additional damage. But however, we need to actually test these out, because when something says like 20% damage, that could actually give more damage than 25% if one of them is a debuff and the other one's just a buff, or even multiplicative versus additive. So let's get these tested out and see if they actually work how they say they are, specifically the Dragonbone Wand, and compare it with the Soulsight Crystal, and otherwise give my opinions whether or not it would be worth using in AoE over the Envenomed. Before we get started, I'd like to give a massive thanks to all of these channel members for the continued support. Now, in order to obtain this set, it's actually pretty expensive. You can check the Zen Market, and it's just here in the pack of the Dragon Hunter. For 3,000 Zen, sure, you're getting a bunch of fashion and some items to help you with character progression, trade bars, and upgrade token pack, but otherwise the main reward in this is that Dragonbone Wand, the symbol, and the folds. And they do have a decent chunk of item level, but you're still going to have to upgrade the Dragonbone Wand, which is about 1 million plus to get that upgraded to Mythic. So 3,000 Zen, is it worth spending that? And if you look on the auction house, is it worth 2 million Astral Diamonds? And yeah, there's not even that many packs here, so that price could go sky high. If somebody just bought one of them, it's already up to 3.5 mil. If there's none of them, somebody could post one for 10 mil. And you can see the neck piece just gives 6 constitution, and the waist piece giving 3 strength and 3 constitution. So somewhat orientated to perhaps potentially healers who need the action point gain from the constitution, but realistically this set's not going to compete with anything out there like the new dragon sets, or a Mythalar for DPS, or Demogorgon for DPS, or even Tiamat for healers and tanks. So yes, let's get this tested real quick. We check our crit strike, 67.2%. We go up to our dummy and we cast this yoke, and we can see crit strike 75.7%. So it does indeed work to give us the crit strike, and we can see if it's an AoE artifact, well, it didn't hit that guy over there when I was just standing here. So the area is pretty tiny, but let's check exactly what the area is like. We summon our illusions just here. When we jump into the middle of them, they start beating on us, but when we cast our artifact, boom, bunch of them die, and this guy should get stunned, but he's one of the boss guys, so he doesn't. We can check the stun capability if we improve their HP so they don't just all get one shot. So again, we jump into the middle of them, cast the artifacts, and we can see they do indeed get stunned. Those lesser beings who don't have the immunity like these bigger guys with the 5 dots. Those are considered bosses, so they're immune. But the range, you can see it does manage to hit each and every one of those dummies when you're in a pack of enemies. So indeed it has AoE capability. But unfortunately there's something really broken with this. We went to our dummy tests, we got our base damage for our Duelist Flurry. You can see the math there, it adds up to equal the 10,797, equal to what we see as the damage floaters. And then we use the artifact, the Dragonbone Wand, and you can see that it's actually broken. It's giving us a 2.5% personal damage debuff. Yes, that being a debuff, sure, it's great, but it's only 2.5%. It claims to be 20%. I don't know what kind of coders they have, but lately a lot of things are just not working how they say they do. It seems like they've gone and got the Soulsack Crystal, which had 25%, got its coding, changed it a little bit, and ended up adding a 0 before the 25%. So now it's only giving 2.5%. But it is a damage debuff, and is the Soulsack Crystal a debuff? It works such as you go and you cast it when you target an enemy, you can see the debuff on them, and then for a full 10 seconds, not just 6, what the Dragonbone Wand has, you would gain a 25% additional damage boost to your attacks. Now when we test this one, we can see it is a personal damage buff. So that adds up to your existing buffs. So we go from 1.59 all the way to 1.84. That's 59.85% to 84.85%. And we can see that's a 25% additional damage buff, which works. As you can see, the damage values showing there that 12,486 is equal to what we see again with our damage floaters, and our base damage there is still the same as what we had up top here at over 10,700. So overall, this new Dragonbone Wand, which you're paying 3,000 Zen for, 2 million Astral Diamonds, is a bust. And even that, you have got to upgrade the thing by spending another million. It's a complete waste of your money because it completely doesn't work. Why do they release these things Zen Market exclusive and don't even have them tested to actually work in game? It's a little bit ridiculous in my opinion. But let's say this artifact gets fixed. Would I say it competes with the Envenomed for its utility and the damage it can deal? Personally, no. It's a damage buff for 6 seconds. Situationally, it could be good. It is a very nice stun effect, so if you're running your Rise of Tiamat trial, it could be useful to stun those swarms of enemies when you're defending those clerics. The problem is the fight doesn't last too long. Of course, you could go Vault of Stars, you can go in the maze, and if you're getting swarmed by enemies, casting this, having that stun ability when enemies are all swarming you, can be very useful. It's full 3 seconds. The problem is, Envenomed has a stun effect, and it's a full 4 seconds. That's 1 second higher. Additionally, the Envenomed gives a third of your daily power back, 33%. And if you can cast your daily powers more often, well, that's a lot more damage than you're seeing from any artifact alone, even if an artifact's giving you a 20% damage boost, since you're better off spending that time actually dealing damage than casting some artifact. The Envenomed at least gives you the ability to cast it when you're not in combat. And then even if you do use it in combat, the area on it is significantly larger with a 4-second stun duration. So no, in my opinion, it's not going to compete at all. Of course, if you don't have the books, yes, this artifact could be useful. It's got a neat stun, but the range on it is pretty minuscule. We cast it from this side and you can see it only hits one of them. It doesn't even hit the other guy just over there. It's like 10 feet radius, if not smaller. Personally, I wouldn't go and invest in this at all. I wouldn't spend that Astral Diamonds. I wouldn't spend the Zen, especially to get it upgraded from there. You might want to buy it, sell it from profit. Probably won't sell after this video for quite some time until it possibly gets fixed. Otherwise, just wait for the Storyteller journals to come back and you can at least buy the Envenomed, buy the tails for it. You can unbind it, get the tails on multiple characters, and then you can transfer it to whichever active DPS character you're playing. And it's a really good AoE artifact with all those tails there and the different buffs that it gives you. It's pretty good. Ultimately, even though the Dragonbone Wand is a debuff, it's only a personal debuff, so it will only affect your damage, not everybody else's as well. That's why in single target boss fights, you're much better off running an artifact that's going to increase your entire party's damage. For example, the Mythalar. You can see a chart here again of the other damage buff artifacts. This is for your entire party. I am missing the new Dragonbone Blades and the new Black Dragon's Mark one. So keep that in mind when deciding what artifacts are good or not. Personally, single target artifact, which is a debuff, is your main priority to help your allies deal more damage. That way, if you're relatively new, you can at least help them deal more damage to make up for perhaps you not performing as well. When you look at the math, and let's say 5 people in a party, when it's full, all use an artifact that gives 10% additional damage to everybody, you're gaining a 50% additional damage boost for about a 10-second window, instead of just using something selfish that would only give you 20% additional damage. And so again, I'd like to give a massive thank you to all of these channel members for helping me keep my channel going. And if I presented this well, consider leaving the video a like, and if you're new around here, consider subscribing. We'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.